Following an SEC investigation into possible securities fraud, Nikola Motors has been steadily losing ground. Leaders at Nikola have pushed the deception to new heights, among other things, forming partnerships with key auto industry executives and silencing critics. Believe it or not, Nikola Motors has a $1 billion valuation, and the surviving stockholders are currently trying to unload their shares. Nikola's departure strategy doesn't simply involve high-ups within the car company either. Financial powerhouses including Fidelity, BlackRock, JP Morgan Chase, and Barclays are involved in a global $1 billion scam. All of these major corporations are trying to take this deception to the next level in the pursuit of a quick buck. For today's video here at Tech Tank Titans, we'll discuss who's still around at Nikola Motors and how the company's remaining leaders want to get out of the pump and dump business within the next few months. Let's go right into it. But before we proceed, make sure to give this video a like and subscribe while you're at it. Let's not spare a minute or two, so let's begin. This is a really big deal before we even get into the exit strategy. To provide some context, many may liken their a medical idea to Nikola Motors. Elizabeth Holmes, the company's CEO, said, "A new blood analyzer will soon be available that would allow users to learn about their health with just a finger prick." Even though Holmes was successful in squeezing profits out of huge corporations like Walgreens, her conquests were never as successful as Nikola Motors. At its peak, Nikola Motors was valued at $34 billion, whereas their nose was worth only $9 billion. It's a miracle that Nikola's executives have managed to pull off a scam of his magnitude. But how did they get there? To understand the answer, one must look back to 2014 when Nikola Motors was established. Former executive chairman Trevor Milton launched Nikola Motors with the extent of revolutionizing the trucking business. He then began developing Nikola's business model, hiring Britton Worthen to serve as its chief legal officer. After 2 years of work, Trevor was ready to release his first product, which, strictly speaking, did not exist. The Nikola One truck would have a 320 kilowatt-hour battery powered by a natural gas turbine. Pre-ordering this truck requires a $1,500 deposit, which is fully refundable after delivery of the vehicle. The full price of the truck is $375,000 if the promise of receiving 100,000 gallons of free natural gas for a refundable $1,500 was genuine. The first 5,000 pre-orders made a lot of sense for the customer. Once you purchase the truck, you will have access to 100,000 gallons of free gas. However, in just 6 months, everything was going to change, and the big corporation that had pre-ordered the truck had no idea. Trevor rethought the operation from the ground up, directing that the truck be powered by hydrogen and electricity. The natural gas turbine was hidden from view inside the truck, and he utilized the electrical cord to power the interior during the demonstration. Trevor Milton said the truck was a pusher, so no one paid any attention to this. We now know that this truck was never capable of moving forward under its own power. It was always a pusher. Like so many other vehicles, they show off that don't do anything. There's a fully operational, mind-blowing vehicle that you may enter and explore. Temperatures and almost everything else can be adjusted to suit our needs. No, it's not just a push cart. This thing actually drives. In the auto industry, that is the term for a car that won't move for the next 4 years, so no matter how hard, people push it. Nikola Motors would keep releasing these imaginary cars until 2020, when Trevor chose to cash out. At a price of $10 per share, he was able to offload $70 million worth of Nikola stock. Afterward, Trevor invested $32.5 million in the priciest home in Utah, the Riverbend Ranch. The home has 8 bedrooms and 8.5 bathrooms over its 16,800 square feet and over 2,000 acres of land. Trevor realized his goal of being a prosperous con artist. Upon realizing this warning flag, many funds promptly dumped their entire holdings of Nikola stock. Over the course of that time period, 14 separate funds unloaded their entire holdings in Nikola Motors. In spite of being caught red-handed, Trevor Milton and Nikola's executive continued to press for additional compensation. The top management of Nikola deemed an initial public offering necessary. However, they lacked the necessary financials to launch a conventional initial public offering or IPO. After all, excluding the sale of Trevor Milton's solar panels, they made $0. It is at this point that the ability to acquire Victo IQ becomes useful. Victo IQ, led by Steve Gursky, is a special-purpose acquisition firm that was eager to essentially take Nikola public. He planned to use this acquisitions firm to buy nuclear propulsion systems off the open market and then to eventually take the business public. However, following this event, prominent institutions such as Red Bush, JP Morgan Chase, and Barclays began purchasing shares. Meanwhile, more and more individuals saw through the fraud. Nikola said his innovative battery could give the Tesla Model 3 600 miles of range when the automaker had no patents, acquisitions, chemists, or research reports related to batteries. Moreover, Trevor asserts that revolutionary hydrogen technology can be developed at a lower cost than gasoline. Some months later, Nikola formed a partnership with GM to manufacture the Badger, a hydrogen-electric pickup truck. Nikola's fraudulent offer to General Motors to sell them $2 billion worth of stock in exchange for the opportunity to buy the company's battery and hydrogen technologies stood out. Nikola boasted about his innovative battery and hydrogen fuel cell technologies, but he really used products from GM. A few days later, a man named Nate led the charge to release the Hindenburg Report to the public. The Hindenburg investigation famously exposed the fraud at Nikola Motors. JP Morgan Chase somehow maintained its buy rating after the Hindenburg study debunked Nikola Motors' false claims. Only one thing was evident from this: Chase was complicit in the scam. For a long time, JP Morgan Chase has held Nikola stock. As a result, they stand to gain the most by giving Nikola stock a buy recommendation. Not only that, but GM's response was also one-sided. GM CEO Mary Barra claimed that she did her own due diligence and is now asking for more shares in Nikola. GM's stake in Nikola soon fell from $2 billion to $1.1 billion. When faced with this situation, a greedy CEO's only option is to find a way to increase their wealth through the use of illegal means. It speaks much about the integrity of these companies' top brass that they continue to back a car company that has been exposed as a fraud. The remaining executives of Nikola still own a sizable portion of Nikola Motors, likely worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Interestingly, these executives are receiving additional stock as a quote-unquote compensation for maintaining Nikola Motors' current market capitalization. In exchange for his services as CEO, Russell has been awarded 600,000 shares with a total value of $14.4 million. Mark currently owns over 41 million Nikola shares, giving him access to roughly $1 billion in wealth. That is not a misstatement. Kim Brady, CEO of Nikola, currently holds $7.6 million worth of stock, and Britton Warden, CEO, currently holds $7.2 million worth of stock. Nevertheless, they are unable to sell their shares until the lockup period expires on December 21. Keep in mind that on December 21st, all of these shares will be released to the market, causing Nikola's value to plummet. Executives and major shareholders in the nuclear industry have been eagerly awaiting December 21 so that they can sell their shares on the open market and make off with hundreds of millions of dollars. The executives at Nikola appear to be avoiding the press as another tactic. After all, from the point of view of individual or institutional investors, Nikola's absence from the media indicates that the company is dedicated to meeting or exceeding expectations. This is obviously not the case, as the management at Nikola are still anticipating the delivery of hundreds of millions of shares. Neglect has been trying to shut down online critics like Sam Alexander and Tom Nash over the past few days by hitting them with copyright strikes for utilizing footage of the Nikola One in action. So what do you think about this fraudulent exit plan? Make sure to leave your thoughts in the comment section since this is a quite hot topic in the market right now. This is Tech Tank Titans. And if you enjoyed this video, might as well give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell button as well to stay updated for news and updates like this one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on our next video.